Conference at the Parliament of Canada, the nationwide uprising of the Iranian people for a democratic republic and against a misogynist regime. Speech by the President-elect of the National Council of Resistance of Iran. Maryam Rajavi. Iran is on the brink of a major change. Canadian MPs and senators held a conference at the Parliament of Canada on Tuesday morning, the 1st of December 2022. Mrs. Judy Sgro, a senior member of Parliament and former Minister of Immigration, presided over the conference entitled The Iranian People's Nationwide Uprising for a Democratic Republic and Against a Misogynist Regime. Dozens of MPs, senators and advisors, including 3 former ministers from the ruling Liberal Party and the conservative Bloc Québécois and New Democratic parties, attended the conference. In addition to Maryam Rajavi, Mrs. Judy Sgro, a senior MP from the Liberal Party and former Minister of Immigration, Mr. Michael Cooper, MP from the Conservative Party and Vice Chairman of the Parliamentary Human Rights Committee, Ms. Andréanne Larouche, MP from the Bloc Québécois, Vice Chair of the Standing Committee on the Status of Women and member of the Canadian Parliamentary Association, and Mr. Dave Epp, a Conservative MP, also addressed the conference. Maryam Rajavi told the conference,
Distinguished members of Canadian Parliament, I would like to thank you for your attention to the issue of Iran and specifically the adoption of the motion to expel the Mullah's regime from the UN Commission on the Status of Women. Iranian people will never forget the friends of hard times. Today, Iran is going through a critical moment in its history. The current uprising did not happen overnight. It's rooted in 43 years of repression. Women are at the forefront of this uprising because they have been under double oppression. They have been deprived of all their fundamental rights. The uprising is founded on objective conditions. In addition, it is rooted in a 40-year resistance with 120,000 martyrs. 30,000 political prisoners were massacred just in the summer of 1988. The courage of Iranian boys and girls, which the world is witnessing today, is inspired by such sacrifices registered in the nation's historical memory. The Iranian people's desire, especially women, is highlighted in their slogans. They want to overthrow the entire regime, having learned from past experiences, especially the anti-Shah revolution in 1979. Iranian people know what they want and don't want. Iranian people don't want religious tyranny. They don't want to go back to the Shah's dictatorship and his one-party system either, where he said publicly anyone who disagreed with his party should be in prison. The regime has recently resorted to a new tactic of repression. On the 16th of November in the city of Izeh in southwest of Iran, the regime's agents opened fire on the protesters, killing at least 10 people, including 3 under 18, that a 10-year-old boy, Kian, was among them. Here, I have a photo of Kian here. But the regime claimed that it was the work of terrorists. During the last 2 months, about 60 children and teenagers have been killed by the regime suppressive forces. In recent days, the regime attacked cities of Javanrud, Mahabad, and other cities with heavy weapons and armors, killing and injuring several people. Some question how people, particularly young people, are still on the streets despite brutal crackdown. The answer is simple. They don't see any future with this regime. They clearly say that we have nothing to lose. In such a situation, the golden principle for the success of the popular movement is being organized. It is not without reason that the Iranian regime has increasingly targeted the People's Mujahideen Organization of Iran as the only organized resistance movement inside Iran. Also, it attacks the National Council of Resistance in all areas as its political alternative. In addition to domestic repression, the regime has launched a disinformation campaign internationally and in the virtual space against its principal opposition. The regime's agents act under different covers, including being a critic in order to justify suppression and execution of its opponents. By doing so, they want to create the impression that there is no democratic and organized alternative to the regime. And if the clerical regime is overthrown, Iran and the region will become unstable. But this is a big deception. There is a nationwide resistance and a political democratic alternative in Iran. Dear friends, we are getting close to the anniversary of IRGC missile attack on Flight 752, killing 176 innocent people. The regime's refusal to take responsibility for this terrible crime shows the true nature of this regime to the world. With all these crimes, it is clear for all that this regime only understands the language of fairness. In such situation, we and our people expect Canada to first recognize the Iranian people's right to defend themselves and their struggle to overthrow the regime. Second, put the entire Ministry of Intelligence and the IRGC, Khamenei's main repressive forces, on the terrorist lists of Canada and the United Nations. And third, deprive the regime's agents of their citizenship and deport them to Iran. Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much, Madam Rajavi. It's wonderful to see you and to hear your voice directly. It's very informative, the remarks and the update that you are giving. Clearly, I don't think you can turn back, and I don't think the Iranian people or the regime can turn back the clock. And as we move forward,